support, even amongst some federal workers, to try and streamline and make the government more efficient. And federal employees are aware that there's likely going to be a lot of job cuts. But this is something that's really scaring them. And that is that Elon Musk reposted several posts from other users that revealed the private names of 4 women who are working in climate-related jobs in the government. Now, one of the posts says, "I don't think the U.S. taxpayer should pay for the employment of a director of climate diversification." Musk then reposted that post and said, "So many fake jobs." Now, the information that was posted is from a publicly available database on government employees, and it does not reveal phone numbers or addresses or anything like that. But these people who were revealed, these are otherwise sort of relatively unknown government employees. None of them have public-facing jobs as spokespeople or anything like that. So
Elon Musk causing headlines by going after specific civil servants that are occupying positions that he says is no longer necessary for the government. Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher. I'm the host of the Open Mind Show here on YouTube. I'm trying to inject a level of moderation back into our hyper-politicized world. So if you're liking my content, definitely hit that subscribe button, share, comment below. Let me know what I'm doing right. Let me know what I'm doing wrong. Folks, when it comes to the federal government, I'm sure every single person on every side of the aisle could agree that government is naturally bloated. There's a lot of departments, ministries, agencies, etc., that get created over time, sometimes because of political will, that continue their life well beyond that of a politician. For example, a politician may come along and say, "We don't need a department of the environment. We need an agency that's tackling climate change, or an agency that's tackling climate change in response to a very specific situation." And as a result, a branch, a unit, an agency gets created. And as a result of that creation comes jobs that are more politically aligned. Again, a director of, let's say, climate change, or a director of DOGE, or whatever. These are government created jobs by elected politicians. And sometimes over time, those positions, they continue on administration to administration, because it becomes really challenging to undo that position after it's created, or recreate that position in a different way. That causes administrative burden as well. And so one thing that's odd here is Elon Musk is, again, reposting the names of otherwise nameless civil servants who are occupying the jobs that were created by political masters. And it's not the fault of person X for occupying a director job, of climate change. I mean, certainly the position seems a bit absurd, but it's the position that I think Elon Musk should be criticizing, not the actual individual person who's occupying that position. And the reason I say that is because government by its nature will be bloated, will have bureaucracy that is bloated, and will have layers of approvals that are necessary. And I think what's odd here is by naming people, I don't think that's right, because again, these are not people who ran for office. These are not people who were elected. They are just civil servants who occupy positions that align with a political mandate or a government mandate, right? So if you're let's say you're the president or whatever, and you say, "You know what? This government needs a department for the roads, or a department for climate change," whatever it is. And this is the structure of that department. This is what it should look like. You create it. You work with the unions, you work with the employer, and you actually create that entire branch or that entire unit. And then someone else comes along and says, "You know what? We don't need that branch or unit anymore." It's totally within their right to cut it. But it's not within their right to say, "Well, that person who occupies it is occupying a terrible position." It's like, that might be your opinion, but at the end of the day, these are nameless servants. These are nameless civil servants who literally every day put on their clothes to go into work to uphold the government's mandate. Remember, government is a massive, massive bureaucracy, and there are nameless civil servants because just the complexity of government needs nameless civil servants to actually get the work done. You think about all the programs, all the services. When governments determine, "I'm going to give out $250, like what they're doing in Canada," when the government determines they're going to build a new road, a new hospital, a new school, when they're going to engage in negotiations with another country, with another First Nations communities, whomever, there are teams of bureaucrats working behind the scenes to also make sure that all of the logistics make sense, but also to brief up the elected leaders about that specific issue so that they have the right information to go into that meeting so that they can come out with some type of conclusion. So for Elon Musk to out the individuals themselves who are unelected, who are literally upholding the will of the government, I think is absurd personally. And the reason I say this is because I think DOGE has the ability to make some real inroads in government inefficiency. But when you start naming people, you're now crossing a line with civil servants and I think with the general public who are like, hang on, these are people who are, they have their own lives. And some of I think one person who was named had to delete all her social media because of the havoc it's unleashing on her life. And, I've never been dogpiled online, thankfully, but I can't imagine what that's like. And I think Elon Musk does have to bear the responsibility here. He may get sometimes you think Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will be government bureaucrats as of January, whatever, 20th, 2024, 25. Like they're going to be government bureaucrats. I'm assuming they're going to be collecting a paycheck from the government of the United States of America. So they're going to become government bureaucrats. They're at the top of a department that's in charge of finding government efficiencies. And how exactly are you going to navigate that when you're outing the names of people you want to cut? Again, it's not their fault necessarily. So the role was created. They went through the interview process to some degree and they got the job. Like, don't hate the player, hate the game. Like, you should be hating the fact that a position like that exists, not the person who's occupying the position. But they also have to work with the civil service because let me tell you something, working against the civil service probably won't yield you the results that you want. The better option is to say, listen, I think that there are efficiencies to be found all across the government. And as the head of DOGE, our responsibility is to work with every department and maybe we work with them to say, we want to see what a 5 or 10% reduction could happen in the next 2 years. And 5 or 10% reduction may actually be due to attrition. Baby boomers who are retiring, people who are taking their packages and leaving government because they're nearing retirement. Let's just see what that looks like. And then from there, we then say, okay, that happened. What about essential core services of government? Were they impacted at all? Yes, no, no. Okay, so then we can do some further reductions. Where else can we find reductions? Let's work with our directors. Let's work with our heads of our different departments and say, what other areas do you see as like kind of a nice to have, but not a necessity to government? And then you kind of do it slowly. Like it has to be slow. It has to be iterative. And the reason why is because government is just a behemoth. And if you do these just major cuts that are ideologically driven, it may actually have a domino effect. Others may feel less compelled to come into work because they're like, well, even though I'm essential to government, it's just a matter of time before they find that I'm unessential and or non-essential and I'm cut, and so is my department. And people might actually actively work against government. The good people might leave and do consulting or do other things. And so this may put Vivek and Elon in a very awkward position. So the better play is to do a slow and steady process. One where you're working with departments to find those reductions, look at attrition, look at people who are taking early retirement packages, what those percentages look like, and then you look at core services, what's absolutely necessary for government to actually function, and then you work with your directors and others and say, where are the areas where it's more of a nice to have, it's not a need to have, and then you say, okay, can we reduce FTEs that way? But this ideological approach, come in day one and just cut, it may actually backfire with civil servants who will work against government as a result. But I'd love to know what you think about this. What do you think about Elon Musk's idea or decision to retweet tweets that include the names of the civil servants themselves? Do you think that's right and appropriate? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, folks, I hope you are liking my content. Definitely hit that like button, subscribe, share, tell all your friends.